وبركاته. عندنا قناة اسمها جوتزي، نحن نحكي من حقائق في حقائق رعب في اللعب الحاكمات. وهيا بنا.
Hey guys, Super Horror Bro Mike here, and in today's video we take a look at the dark side of Goat Simulator. In general, Goat Simulator is a pretty weird and wacky game. In fact, for the most part, it is funny rather than creepy. However, there are some unsettling secrets and Easter eggs to be found. We assume the role of a goat who can latch onto objects and even people with its tongue, which leads to many bizarre situations and glitches. In this video, we take a look at 3 of the Goat Simulator games: the original, MMO-themed expansion, and DayZ-inspired DLC, Goat Z. So let's kick off this video with a look at the original Goat Simulator game and the creepiest secrets found within. Pentagrams are always creepy as they have an association with the devil and occult practices. We can find a goat-themed pentagram on the hill above Goatsville. As we approach this site, the screen darkens and blue skies turn a hellish shade of red. Torches line the road up to this creepy discovery. Things grow more and more unsettling as we are asked to provide human sacrifices to place upon this pentagram. A nearby garden party provides the victims we need. After dragging 5 humans onto the pentagram, this happens. It's pretty creepy to behold, and now we can literally tether anything in the vicinity to our body to form one enormous wrecking ball. This Easter egg is actually inspired by a decidedly non-creepy game called Katamari Damacy. After the ritual is complete, the appearance of our goat also changes into something far more demonic. In the center of Goatsville, there is a tall tower. If we navigate our way to the top and enter through this doorway, we find ourselves in a throne room. This room is full of goat disciples who bow down before us as we make our way to the throne. This throne is pretty creepy looking, adorned with skulls featuring red glowing eyes. It seems to be a homage to the Iron Throne from popular TV show Game of Thrones. If we sit upon this throne, then the following happens. Now we gain a sinister new appearance, but something even weirder also happens. The goat gains the ability to spawn his followers from the sky, landing dead at his feet. An infinite amount of these goat disciples can be spawned in, and suffice to say, it looks like quite the massacre. Aliens and UFO abductions are always creepy, the subject of many haunting science fiction shows and movies. Goat Simulator features crop circles, and when we collect a UFO-shaped object from the garage of this house and then drag it to one of these UFO landing sites, we find ourselves the subject of our very own abduction. Up, we find our goat companion floating in space with no way to return to Earth. A spaceman can be seen dancing in the distance as we float among the asteroids. But remember, in space, no one can hear you bleat. If we travel to Goat City Bay and make our way past the hillside turbines, there is a secret graveyard location. Things turn creepy fast as the screen grows darker and mist rises all around us. The first thing we encounter is a nightmarish goat-themed version of Slender Man. It's a horrifying sight and makes some truly bone-chilling sounds. This cemetery is also a pet-themed one, an Easter egg based on the famous Stephen King novel and movies that came thereafter. At the far side of this cemetery, a man stands beside a withered tree as he sobs and mourns a lost one. But perhaps the creepiest aspect of this environment are the ambient sounds we hear while exploring. Ghostly moans and whispers fill the air. through this sewer pipe beside the bay, we encounter a strange sight indeed.
The authorities will know about this. Sunday Goater, I'll get you for this. No go! I never.
While these Ninja Turtle wannabes aren't particularly scary, they certainly have the power to startle players who aren't expecting to run into them, and it's a little unnerving the way they rush and attack our goat. In fact, they continue to attack us until we escape their lair. Though this secret is more weird than creepy, so let's move on to the DayZ DLC, which is, by its very nature, more horror-themed. In Goat Z, we play as an undead zombified goat whose task is to infect the residents of the town. But outside of a horror theme, there are also a number of creepy secrets to discover. If we headbutt the gravestones outside of the church, the door to the building swings ominously open. Venture inside and we come face to face with a Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Halloween-themed crazy killer. Luckily, he's pretty goofy and harmless, but first encountering him is definitely a creepy experience. We can even drag him outside of a church, at which point he seems to become far more docile. Headbutt him enough and he'll drop dead. While exploring the mountains, we come across this rickety old bridge, a sheer drop into darkness beneath it. If we bravely leap into the unknown, our goat awakens in a strange cave. This is home sweet home to a very creepy looking shadow man. His body is made up from scrawling binary code and he cowers inside a tent. There doesn't seem to be too much to do once we are in this room, but it's certainly a weird and unsettling discovery to make. Inside the mall, there is a shop called the Windows Store. This is a joke based on the many computer operating systems released by Microsoft over the years. We find them all within this store, represented as literal window panes. These windows can be broken. However, if we smash the Windows Me panel, something pretty shocking occurs. Aside from receiving a terrifying and loud jump scare, when breaking this window, it also makes it seem as though our computer or games console has crashed and gone to a blue screen. This deceived and shocked many players the first time they encountered it, and with good reason. While exploring the circus area, a short trek through this valley leads to a zone still under construction. Here we see parts of the game still being constructed and textures, monsters and NPCs being built. This isn't too creepy on its own, but it's certainly a little weird to come across. However, one thing that is unsettling within this area is a secret discovered if we press a button the game explicitly tells us not to. These goopy melted humanoid creatures spill out of this tube until the game can no longer render anymore and crashes completely. These stringy specimens look pretty grotesque and unsettling, and the entire situation continues to grow out of hand with no way to stop it. Well, we can't say they didn't warn us, can we? Finally, let us move on to Goat Simulator MMO, which also holds a few creepy secrets of its own. While exploring the village of Twistram, we come across a broomstick propped up against the side of this house. If we accidentally make contact with this broom, then the following happens. The cackle and abrupt catapult into the air is sure to startle players the first time they activate it. However, the creepiest part about being up so high in this world comes from a sighting far on the horizon. We see two giant mermaids standing in the distance. They seem to serve no real purpose, but they are super creepy nonetheless. They are the reverse of a conventional mermaid, with fish-like bodies and human legs. Smaller versions of these monstrous beings can be found in the regular game world. If you've ever seen the Tom Hanks film Castaway, you'll know that while stranded on a tropical island, he creates a friend from a football which he names Wilson. Goat Simulator has its very own version of this ball, which appears in every entry of the game, but is at its creepiest here in the MMO DLC. After completing a quest for a character called Dumbledore the Grey, and bonus points to whoever gets that reference, we are given the chance to travel through a portal he opens for us. However, if we take Dumbledore up on this offer, we are dropped into a purgatory-like void. We land beside Wilson, who sits atop a throne on a floating island in the middle of nowhere. The creepy part is that there is no escape from this limbo. If we drop off the edge of this island, we simply fall for a while before landing back on top of it once again. A never-ending nightmare we cannot escape from. While exploring the treetop town of Alvesta, it is possible to encounter a severed giraffe head sitting on top of his bed in one of the tree houses. Now this is a reference to a scene from the movie The Godfather, where the character Jack Waltz awakens to discover the head of his horse beside him in bed. It's a pretty unsettling sight, especially as you can choose to drag the head around with you after discovering it. One of the weirdest secrets in Goat Simulator MMO is found when exploring the cathedral in Twistram. At the back of this church we can move the altar, and after dropping down into the catacombs below, we discover a portal at the far end. This portal takes us to a land filled with cows who seem to want us dead. At first, this is pretty comical, but soon becomes creepy when we realise just how many mad cows are swarming toward us from every direction. Our final creepy secret from the world of Goat Simulator comes from a quest given to us by the King of Goatwind. First, we must defeat the King's pet ant, who turns out not to be an ant, but in fact a horrifying giant spider. After which we are tasked with travelling to Old Goat Mountain to kill the old goat, who turns out not to be an old goat but rather a terrifying looking T-Rex, although he does go down pretty easily. Not only is the unexpected sight of running into a giant dinosaur at a dinner table fairly creepy, but the old turns out not to be an old goat. After which we are tasked with travelling to Old Goat Mountain to kill the old goat, who turns out not to be an old goat but rather a terrifying looking T-Rex, although he does go down pretty easily. Not only is the unexpected sight of running into a giant dinosaur at a dinner table fairly creepy, but the Old Goat Mountain itself is the stuff of nightmares. Traps are laid out everywhere, goats hang in cages above pits of fire, and demons prowl the land. But perhaps scariest of all is the old goat's toilet. Yeah, that can't be hygienic, right? And that brings us to the end of today's video. While Goat Simulator isn't a particularly scary game, it does have creepy moments for sure, and we've taken a look at many of them today. But if you think there's any I've missed, let me know in the comments section below. And of course, leave a like if you did enjoy this video. With that, I'll say goodbye and see you on the next one.